The party
Guy
was lame to me.
Fieri.
Fieri.
That's the fun.
Yeah.
So they're trying to track him down. Mora's at the party.
I just want to say, you are never allowed to pick the freaking theme for anything again. Okay. Albuquerque, fire truck. We're just yelling out words now? What's going on here? Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of BS Drunk Movie Reviews. This is a weekly podcast, and we do upload the video version of this to our YouTube channel, so you can check us out there. My name is Matt, and as always, I'm being joined by my co-host and sister, Vetta. Vetta, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And on this special episode, we have a special guest, and that is Vex Electronica. She's back, you guys.
Thank you
Hi.
for having me back.
Oh, thanks for coming back. We always love having you on.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Shucks.
And on this episode, we are going to be reviewing the movie The Ninth Gate. All right, but before we get started on reviewing this movie and everything, I would like to ask the most important question of the night, and that is, what are you drinking? And we're going to start off with our guest. Vex, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a saltless seawater.
Sounds delicious. It does not sound delicious. Anyways, all right, Betta, what are you drinking?
Oh, I gotta pull it up. Okay, so I am drinking a Lucifer Morningstar.
Ooh.
Nice.
Right. So I really wish you guys could see it because it has edible, like, what is it called?
Edibles?
No,
Oh.
edible glitter, like shimmer, like
Oh, the luster dust? Luster
Yes.
dust? I hate luster dust.
So, so it's got spiced rum, red wine, a little vanilla syrup, and then the ginger beer, and then the luster. So I really do wish you could see it because it just looks red, but on mine it looks like almost like because it's moving and it's a gray colored sparkly.
Does your cup say fuck on it? Does that cup say
It
fuck
does.
on it?
It says fuck it.
Okay. I'm just drinking red wine because he drinks wine at some point in time in the movie. And I was going to make a drink called The Ninth Gate, but literally it called for like, it was like whiskey, but then it was like add absinthe or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it had a bunch of weird stuff.
And I was just like, I don't have time to go out into nature and find this shit and everything and cut it off. Like, yeah, I don't like. It took me like forever to find the Spice Girl drink that we did because I had to find that creme de noia, and I was like, I can't do this shit. I don't have time for this nonsense. All right, so let's get to the main event, and that is this movie, The Ninth Gate. So this movie, The Ninth Gate, Dean Corso specializes in tracking down rare and exotic volumes for collectors. Boris Balkan has recently acquired a 17th-century satanic text called The Nine Gates, a legendary book written by Satan himself. Ooh! With the Nine Gates in his possession, Corso soon finds himself at the center of strange and violent goings-on. Not only is his apartment ransacked, oh no, it appears that he is being shadowed fiercely by others determined to regain the book. Now, I just want to say real quick, I want to ask you guys real quick, overall, what did you guys think about this movie? We'll start with you, Vex.
I love this movie. I absolutely adore this movie.
You
It's got a couple. Yeah, it's got a couple pacing issues. I'll give it that. But this was like I watched this movie first of all way too young.
Right, right.
But it's I like this whole like books that can summon demons, occult thing, conspiracy, blood sacrifice stuff. Like this, this is like my kind of jam. I love this movie.
Right on. Vetta, what about you? What did you think of this movie?
Well, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it was okay. I didn't have like super, memories
Strong feeling. Oh.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it in the theaters and that was it.
Theaters.
Yeah. And then it was a date night movie.
Nice.
But then I I watched it today again for like the third time because I watched it this week too. And I was like, oh, I'm going to watch it again because I feel like, I don't know, maybe my brain has developed more or something. There were so many other small things that I picked up on that I was like, ooh, or I was like, that wouldn't be happening right now, things like that. So it was
Gotcha.
definitely better this time around for sure. This
Right
week,
on.
watching it twice, I was like, ooh, I like this. I bet I could pick this apart and find ways that I like it. It did bring
Mm,
up questions.
I
right
do
on.
have a question though. So you
Yeah.
saw this as a date night movie.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Did your date open a 10th gate afterwards?
It was my husband. So
Oh,
So yes, he did.
so he did.
Nice.
you should just know my realm of experience is like a couple of guys that I like dated and then my husband who, I married. So I am very, very limited on almost every question you ask me is going to end in that realm is going to end with my husband. It was my husband.
Right on. Well, I love this movie also. I have so many things to talk about in this movie. So let's get started real quick. I just have one quick. What is up with why do people want to meet the devil? Like I'm all like he doesn't sound like a good guy. Like it never turns out well in my opinion. And I'm just like all the way, by the way, I did watch this way too young because I remember jerking off to that final sex scene. I did or when he's fucking that girl in the castle, I remember jerking off to that. Anyways, but why do
Wow.
why do people listen? It was young. There was no Pornhub back then. You got
You
what
know
you
that
got.
Just stay
every
up for
time,
the Skinamax.
right? Every time I watch this movie now, I'm just my brain's immediately that was jerking off to this.
Every time you see the girl's glowy eyes with the fire
Right.
you're gonna be like, "Oh my God, Matt was like giving himself a tookie." Right?
Yeah. But my whole thing is, why do people want to meet the devil? Like, I don't understand this concept. Bex, you explain to me because I'm like, if somebody was like, I have a book that'll summon the devil, I'd be like, no, thank you. I'm good. I'm good.
I
Let's go do the orgy thing. That sounds like fun.
I
That
would
seems
have.
like what they do when the summoning fails.
Oh,
No.
that's a good point. I'm not a demonologist, nor am I a Christian, so my interpretation may be off. But the way I've interpreted it is that it's much easier to pray to someone or to summon someone that will accept your deviancies and your faults than to try and work on yourself and gain
Mm,
access to heaven, which is like it's all an uphill battle to be a good person more or less versus
mm,
the devil will immediately reward you for not doing the work. So that's
mm.
the way I've always interpreted it.
I
That's a
have a
good
little
point.
bit difference of that, and
Okay.
okay, and people may come for me because I'm
Yeah,
sorry
come for it.
if I say something that they disagree with, but I am of the belief that um God's like, he created the earth and all of that, but the devil fell to the earth, he's a fallen angel, so he gets
Hmm.
free reign.
Hmm.
And God kind of said, here's this place, here are kind of the rules. My son has died for you. All's good. Try your hardest, and then you get to come to eternal life. Where the devil's like, yeah, you got to wait a long time for that. And then he tells us things like, guess what? God created cancer and just killed your loved one and did nothing to save them. And then, my brain wants to go, did he create it or did you? And you're trying to make him look bad and no one wants to blame you because they forget about you. So I think it's just easier for people to go to him because he's instant gratification, where God's kind of you got to play the long game for that
We're kind of
gratification.
on the same track,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into this movie now that we've got our theology questions out of the way. Okay.
You're welcome.
So no, you're totally good. Yeah. I thank you. Thank you, sweet pea. Okay. So I want to talk real quick, and I do want to talk about the characters in general, but I want to talk about this first scene because I feel like this really set up the character of Johnny Depp because he is like such a douche. He rips off this old man and his kids of
Hmm.
these Don Quixote books, which I'm all like, okay.
And the old man knows it.
Yeah, he knows it.
Yep.
And
Oh.
I felt so bad because he's all like, Like he just wants to scream out, be like, "Don't sell him the Don Quixote books.
Yeah.
Sell him the shitty Little Mermaid first
And he's white
edition."
knuckling his
Yeah,
knees.
yeah. And I'm just like, and the thing is, I'm just like, but then a small piece of me was all like, those kids kind of deserved it because they didn't give a shit about that old man. They just set him in front of a window and we're all like, how much are his books? 500,000, thank you, and
Oh
everything. And I
yeah,
was like,
that daughter was like, write me a check right now.
oh,
Let's
she
go.
was gushing after
Yeah.
that. She was like, Psh, she was like
Yeah.
500,000. Which also I just want to say, which I wouldn't have sold any of the books. If he said, I'll take these off your hands, I'd been like, no, thank you. We want a second opinion. You just said get a second opinion. I'm gonna get a second opinion.
Mhm.
They just
Oh,
wanted money.
which are any of I'm not really into books this much as some people might be. Like these people were like gushing over like these collections.
Mhm.
Um but don't get me wrong, I love when I walk into somebody's like their study or their office and they have like nothing but a huge collection of books. I'm like, look at that, that's nice. I like it. I like the aesthetics of it, but I'm not a big like collect like if somebody handed me an old book and was like, it's a first edition, I'd be like, oh, thanks. Great. I love it. And everything. You know me so well. What do you guys think about the whole book collecting thing?
I'm cool with it. I enjoy the aesthetic and the hobby, so I am totally down with it. I have kept my eye for several years on a first edition of Dracula, in
Nice.
fact. So, but I can never ever safely afford it.
Right. I hear you, girl. Vetta, what about you?
Oh, come on. I went to school to my master's is in library studies. So of course
There you go.
I I love books. And my biggest problem with this whole thing is they're talking about rare books from like the 1500s, the 1600s. He is smoking around these books and no
Yes.
one is wearing white gloves. So the oil from their skin is
Mm,
getting on these pages, ruining them. So the whole time I'm like, this wouldn't be happening. You would be in a temperature controlled room with
Hmm.
air filtration system and gloves on. People just wouldn't have these fucking sitting in their houses. I mean, some would if they're really, really super rich, but someone who saved this their whole lives or got lucky and found it in a used bookstore would never. Yeah, that just every time he lit up a cigarette near an old book, I just was cringing. I was like, you suck. Your character's the worst
mm.
dealer in rare books ever. You suck.
I felt
Right
like that
on.
was like an intentional point because like even when he takes that first book that he swindles off of that family and he goes to his like book dealer buddy, the buddy is doing the same fucking thing.
Yeah,
He's
Right.
smoking while holding the book.
Mhm.
I think this isn't their love. I think this is their job. They
Yes.
know what they're doing, but they kind of just don't give it. They're like a used car salesman. They don't
Right
give a
Like
shit.
on.
They just want you to buy the car, you
right.
know.
And like even like because he has a conversation with someone in the elevator as he's leaving. And like you said, that makes it very clear that he genuinely doesn't care about this hobby or the books. He just sees this as a fast payday. So I like it builds nicely on the like he's supposed to be like the guy that you root for, but he is a piece of shit. So should you
Hmm.
Oh,
really
for
root for
Right.
him?
sure.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I did speak since you mentioned it, but I did write in my margins. I go, I miss libraries. I miss doing research. You remember when you would have a paper and you'd go to the library and you'd like sit
Hmm.
there for like hours looking over books and you're like, well, this was useless. I don't know why I spent 30 minutes reading this bullshit. I do miss those days, but the internet is so much easier.
When you did a search on the computer in the library for anything that, had whatever you were researching, and then
Yep.
you read for it for an hour and it literally just does a little one sentence blurb and you're like, did this just happen? Did
Right.
this just happen? What is going on? Yeah.
Right on. So, okay, so the main point of this whole movie is he goes over to Dracula's, building or whatnot. And he's sitting there. By the way, I did write down that Dracula's lecture was very boring, and I would have fallen asleep too because he didn't say anything that I didn't know. He's like, witches used to have familiars, which would be a small animal that would leech off their body. I was like, yeah, everybody knows this now, buddy. I mean,
Hmm.
we've all seen The Craft and shit. So,
Yeah, but
um,
back in 99,
right on.
probably
Yeah,
not.
yeah. Yeah, but I was like, I would have fallen asleep too because Dracula has no fucking charisma in this little lecture hall. But I
Dang.
did write down also that I was like his code every time he gets on the elevator and when he types in his code to get in his little special room is 666. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
how original, Dracula. Good for you. I'm like, okay. So he gets this mission right from Dracula. I'm calling him Dracula because he played Dracula.
I gotcha. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There are 3 of these 9 gate books, right? And
Mhm.
his mission is to go to every single one of the 2 other people that own this book. And because he has a copy, because he just bought it off of a dude that killed himself, but he sold it to him before he killed himself, which I have questions about. But
Mhm.
and then his mission is to go to the other 2 books, examine them, and compare them to his Dracula's copy of the book to see which one is fake or if they're all real, just a copy. Okay, so I wrote down, I wanted to know, like, why didn't this guy just, like, be like, hey, oh, I wrote down, it would have been so much easier if iPhones were around because he could have just taken pictures of those stupid pictures and just send it to him. His job would have been done in like a week. And he
Mhm.
would, and he probably wouldn't have gotten almost killed because he'd been like, I don't need to take your book with me. I'll just snap a couple photos and we'll
What are
be
you talking
good.
about? He wouldn't even have had to gone there. Those people probably could have just scanned him
I
into
that
the
That's
friend
true.
computer,
Yep.
that's
the whole thing, and been like, "Here's a digital
That
copy.
is a good
Have
point, but
at
that
it."
French lady really
Oh, the
hated
Baroness.
the
Oh yeah,
Dracula. Yeah, she really
yeah.
hated
She
Dracula.
she was
Okay.
not a fan. And when we get to her, oh
Well, I
God,
wanted to just talk about some of the characters if you guys were okay
yeah,
with that. Okay.
Sure.
So can we talk about Johnny Depp's character because he's
Dean.
the man. Yeah, I just kept calling him Johnny Depp. But by the way, he looked fucking good in this movie. I was like, man,
He
Johnny Depp
did.
was really fucking good looking. That
And
motherfucker.
they had him trying to play an older character because he had those 2 little stripes of
Yep.
gray. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah, but
fucker, you're not old.
yeah,
Shut
he
up.
was still. I was like, it's charming. Okay. Which, speaking of that, although I'll say this right now, when he meets the girl, as soon as he meets her in the lecture hall, and then from then on, I was like, is this a meet cute? I like it. Okay. I wrote down first thing, he does not know how to cook a freezer meal because he just shoves the whole box into the microwave and just hits
Mhm.
start. And I'm like, motherfucker, it has directions, you asshole. You don't just grab an alcohol and then be like, good enough. I'm like,
Well, maybe he just realizes it's so cheap, even following the directions isn't going to make it any better. So what's the
I mean, I
difference?
guess so,
That's true.
but plastic in your food doesn't taste delicious at
I
all.
mean, he is a heavy smoker, so I don't think he's tasting much of
Yeah.
anything.
That is true. And I wrote he drinks a lot. I thought I drank.
Yep.
Well, I only drink 1 day a week, but I was like, man, this guy drinks a lot. Like he's drinking
Mhm.
every meal. Like even at breakfast, I think he was drinking
Right.
whiskey.
He
And
was.
and then when that old Portugal guy was all like, "You want some bourbon?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm all like, "You could turn down a drink every now and then, my dude. It's
You
okay."
can say I'm good right now.
Yeah, yeah. I also wrote down that Johnny Depp's character is a total pussy in this movie. Like I was like,
Oh,
I
yes.
could take him. That's how bad he is. Like he first off, he's just running from everybody. I'm like, dude, stand your ground, motherfucker. Like, I mean, like you've got your little demon woman with you. The whole time I'm just like, I feel like I could take Johnny Depp, this character in this movie.
I actually kind of liked that they made him intentionally weak. Like I know by today's standards, like that the girl chick would totally be considered a girl boss. But I like it's just because he is a snake. He's a little cockroach, so it makes sense that he'd run away from everything instead of confronting it. Like even when we see those scenes of him doing the business dealings, he's always trying to avoid confrontation in a conversation even. So I was for it. I dig it.
Oh
Right on.
yeah, he's totally, he's like, "Oh, I'm cute." But I was a nerd in high school and got shoved in a lot of lockers. So now that
Hmm.
I'm like an it boy, no, thank you. No, I'm just gonna
Hmm.
revert back to I don't want to go in the locker.
Right on, right on. And then I also did. Okay, so can we? I just want if you guys have anything to say about Johnny Depp, you can. But I want to talk about
He's not. That's all I'll add.
the blonde woman. I mean, I kind of want to talk about Johnny Depp with her all at the same time. So
Sure.
first thing I want to ask you guys is because is this blonde woman? Is she a demon? Is she the devil? What's going on with her? There's something going on because she's fucking, her eyes are glowing, and she's fucking crouching tiger, hidden dragon that shit throughout, like in the back half of this movie. And I'm all like, which by the way, that was my favorite part when she just like floats down. I'm
Floats
all like,
down.
Yeah.
I remember.
He says anything.
Well, that's the thing. When I was watching this movie, like I was watching it now to rewatch it, and I hadn't watched it in years. But when that happened, I was like, oh, she's fucking, Mao Zedong in this shit down the stairs. And I'm all like, what's going on here? I was like, I think we just entered into fantasy where I'm here for it. But do you guys think she's a demon? What is going on there?
She's a whore of Babylon.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's
That's what
so
it says on the last page when he finds it.
Does it? Oh, you guys were reading the
Yes.
pages? Okay, I just took their word for it.
we're not even. It's the picture because the whole time there's one picture that. Oh, my water bottle just fell. Whoops.
Oh man.
There's one picture. And he's
Water.
always.
Ugh.
Sorry. Yeah.
I'm joking. No, it's okay. Go ahead.
I know it's hydration, right? So, but there's always the one page that keeps missing, and then he finds out at the very end that one of the 9 pages he found was a forgery, and the
Yeah.
last one he finds on his windshield, it's a woman on top of the beast. That is the whore of Babylon. That's who the woman was.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because the whole time I'm all like this. Which, by the way, she's a horrible dresser. I was like, honey, you can change your outfit every now and then.
But then she
Um,
wouldn't blend in. She's supposed to be conspicuous.
I mean, I guess so, but I was just like, oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. Right. I also did that to say that I hated her eyebrows. They were way too thick. I was like, you need to thin that shit
I
out.
am pretty sure those are just 90s eyebrows.
Probably.
I think so, yeah.
I also loved how she parkours it up that fucking house. She's all like, "Do you want to go inside?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Okay." And she's like spider monkeying it up this shit. I was like, "Look at you, hardcore
hmm
parkour." I did write down it's fucking gross when she wiped her nose and then rubbed the blood all over his face. I was like, "Honey, that's not cute. That's gross. That's
Oh.
gross. You're a gross person. You're gross." Um, yeah, that's all I really had for her. I just liked her. I just love how she floated down from the balcony at the end, and she's just
That
floating
was so corny. I wish they
there.
didn't include that. It's so unintentionally funny that it breaks the good vibe that they have. It looks so goofy. Oh my goodness. I actually
Yeah.
was totally fine with the blood marking thing because I thought it was more
Why?
like, well, okay, simply because so Dean's the only one that ends up summoning the devil throughout all of this because he does the process right. So it
Hmm.
kind of felt like she was marking him as like the best person to do the summoning or like the most fit person to do the summoning. That's how I saw it. So it wasn't gross.
Yeah.
It was more she was marking her territory for later.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. I did want to know though, back to his little mission. I want to know how much that check was. I want to know how much that check was. Because he's like, if you find the book, I'll double it. And I was like, double it? Well, how much was it, fucker? Was it like, 500,000? What was it? I was
And
like,
this
you're
is on top of all the travel he got to do.
exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'm all, yeah, because my whole thing was I was like, how much, what does this dude do for a living? He's affording these really expensive books. He's giving bad lectures. I'm all like, I don't understand what he does that he can make this much money to just to send somebody to travel and then also travel with him. Because I wrote
It
down
comes from old money.
maybe, but
Because he is
Jesus
a
Christ.
professor. I feel like, normal people don't become professors unless, they don't want to do anything else.
Right
I thought he
on.
was a bit of a philanthropist as well, because I think there's like a Balkan Industries or something, a name that
Oh,
comes up some point in the movie. It's a very small thing, but the generational wealth actually makes more
that
sense.
yeah,
Because that
and
would
did
also explain how he even caught on to all of this, because he's connected to the same society that
Everybody
oh
else is in.
yeah, the
So,
no.
Telfer woman was, right?
yeah,
So
because even the Baroness was in the society for a while
yeah.
because she's the one that tells us that when the summoning doesn't work, they just have giant orgies. Um,
Which I want to talk
but
about that society.
the second guy, what was his name? It began with an F.
Oh, who cares? Just you're
Bar
Anyways,
for
the guy that's
Fargus.
playing yes, while he's playing the violin, that guy, remember the Baroness tells us he wanted nothing to do with the society. He
yeah.
Yes.
just wanted the book because he's also the one that says don't read too much of the book because too much knowledge can be a bad thing, which
hmm
I was like, is it though?
Yeah,
I mean,
I
just
thought
because you
knowledge was
have the knowledge doesn't mean you have to use
yeah,
it.
plus I thought knowledge was power, fucker.
Well,
I thought it
that's
was
what
more
he's
if you're reading about the devil and something that will summon you, you'll become kind of crazed like all these other
Mhm.
people did. So
yeah,
Right on.
I think that's more what he was alluding to rather than don't read, don't be a nerd.
yeah.
Yeah. I also okay, so he gets this mission. I want to talk about the dude that killed himself at the very first scene and everything. Because I was all like, he sold this book to Dracula. And later on, the Baroness lady, the French chick, she's all like, if he found out what his wife was up to, he'd kill himself. He's like, funny, you should mention that. And I was like, yeah, funny, you should mention that. What's going on here? Do you think that that guy at the beginning like killed himself voluntarily, or do you think that like he was like not possessed to do it, but yeah, I'm that's the only word I can think of to describe it. Like the devil made him do it so that way they can get set this whole thing in motion.
No, I just thought he killed himself. That's all.
Because his
Like
wife
his
was a big whore. I mean, like,
Yeah, well, like his wife clearly only married him for money. He comes off as a pretty meek dude in the little bit that we get of him before he hangs himself. Even the choice of where to hang himself, he hung himself amidst his collection. It shows that
mm,
he had a huge devotion to everything he had collected over his lifetime. I think also he kind of recognized what, like, on top of the orgies and stuff, it's that his wife was so driven to do something else that was clearly like he didn't personally agree with. This is my interpretation though.
Yep.
yeah,
I
no, that's a
agree.
good point.
I think he sold the book as a fuck you to his wife
Yeah, she
before he
deserved
killed
it too.
himself.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think somehow he figured out that because she's clearly been sleeping around for years, and her
Oh
little
yeah, I want
killer
to talk about her.
assistant, she's probably
Oh,
banging
I want to
every
talk about
which way
him.
but Tuesday. So, yeah, I think he just found out and he just went, oh, well, she's done this and made me a laughing stock. Well,
Yep.
I'm going to sell her
Humiliation.
favorite book and then I'm going to kill myself and leave her with nothing.
Gotcha.
Hmm.
Well, he didn't live her with nothing. She had that house and all those other books,
And all
um,
that money.
and all that money. Okay, speaking of
But to
rich lady.
her, it was nothing because
Yeah, I mean
she,
that's a good point because she didn't have the
Yeah.
devil book. Okay,
yep.
Hmm.
speaking of rich lady, let's talk about rich lady because I'm not gonna lie, I was fascinated with rich lady like the whole time. I'm just all like, this bitch is crazy, and I'm all here for it. Okay, so first off, she when she finds out that the book has been sold, she like you could see on her face, she is pissed. She's like, oh wait, what? My husband sold this book to who and everything, and then she wastes no time in fucking Johnny Depp to get this
Hmm.
book back. And I just want to be all like, honey, what's Dracula said he paid a crazy amount of money for this book, and you think one fucking is from your old ass? I wrote down she's very old. That is going to get you the book back? I don't think so. I'm like, come on. I wrote down she's crazy. I love how when she attacks Johnny Depp and after saying my favorite line in the entire fucking movie, she goes, where is it?" And he's like, "I don't have it." She's like, "Don't fuck with me." He's like, I already
We
did."
already did, yeah.
My favorite
Yeah.
line of the whole movie.
That's great.
I laughed so hard, so good. And then she beats the shit out of him because he's a pussy. But I love if you listen to her after she throws him up against the wall and everything. And before she goes to scratch him and everything, she's like, "Ah, ah, ah, ah." I was like, what is this goblin talk she's doing here? What is
It's the
going
devil.
on? Yeah, that's what I was all like, what's going on here? And then she can't scratch him, so she bites him, and I'm like, she's a biter, and everything. I was like, Johnny Depp, get away from her as fast as possible. And then she smashes him over the head with a bottle, which I just want to say, I've never been hit with a bottle before, but it doesn't look like it. But I've seen videos and they don't break as easily as they do in movies. And that shit looks
Hmm.
like it hurts. So
Oh yeah.
well, at least he passed out. So that was true to form.
Hmm.
But
Can I
yeah, no,
just say that old rich lady? So I'm not even joking. Have you guys seen the second Hostel where the lady
yes,
like bleeds out the lady and it's like bathing in the teenager's blood?
yes.
Yeah.
This lady does that for sure, 100%.
I mean,
Ooh.
probably.
Yes.
She's
Yeah,
crazy like
probably.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's crazy like that.
That's why she's naked under. It's not just for the orgies, it's for the bloodbaths. There you
Maybe.
go.
Yeah. So after this whole thing happens, right? I did feel bad for his co conspirator Bernie. I felt bad for Bernie because Bernie got caught up in this whole mess, and he was like dead. He got dead. But I was like, you know what, Bernie? You mess with the bull, you're gonna get the horns.
Yeah,
To
And
but
be
he
fair, I
didn't
mean,
give up the book, so good for him.
yeah.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, he didn't give it. He should just be like, I got some Don Quixote books. They're worth a fortune. The Swedish guy was gonna buy them, but I'll give them to you for free and everything. Okay. So Johnny Depp, he sets off on. By the way, payphones. I miss payphones. I miss payphones.
Me too.
Gosh.
I also miss fax machines.
Oh my God,
Yes.
fax machines. Yes, I miss.
Right? I do miss the simplicity of fax machines and being able to hail a cab rather than use Uber.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I miss
Mhm.
all that old school stuff that people just don't
Mhm.
know about. Like phone booths were pretty awesome. People don't understand how awesome phone booths were.
Mhm.
Okay.
They were
So he
amazing.
goes to Spain. Now, he goes to talk to these twin book dealers. I just want to tell you right now, I love these two guys. They were just so
Yes.
much fun for like the 2 seconds that they're on screen. I just loved everything
That's
about
you and
them.
your twin when you get
For sure.
older.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
owned your own business and worked
Yeah,
together,
yeah.
that
Well,
would totally be you
one was
guys.
smoking, dropping ashes on this 12th century book. The other one's all like, "Oh, stop it. What are you doing?" and everything. And that one's just like it's just like they're like, "Is it a fake?" He's like, "No, this is not a fake. That'll be too expensive. The paper from the time and the ink." And I'm like, "Wow, this is you guys are
I
nerds."
should say these guys are way nicer than Matt and his twin
Oh,
would
for sure. Yeah.
because
You're like,
Matt would have dropped ashes on her, or his twin would have dropped ashes on her and be like, fucker, watch what you're
watch what you're doing,
doing.
you stupid bitch, you stupid bitch. And then he'd be like, "Is there anybody this could be a fake? What did you just? Are you? Is he insulting? Get the fuck out of here,
I was gonna say, they're
insulting
gonna say,
me.
get the
Is it
fuck
a
out of here.
fake? I don't sell fakes, fuckface." Okay,
Yeah,
but I loved every minute of them. I wish they were on
so
there.
much.
There's so much more. Okay, but I
So
love
this
how
is
when
my
he
question about them. Do you think they were real? Because he goes back to the bookstore and the bookstore is,
that's a
store is
great question.
absolutely gutted, and it really hasn't been that long.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question because I also had a question. Did they fake the fake page or was it just somebody else and they just had the fake page? Because I was like, I assume that they faked the fake
Yeah,
page
I
because
did
they were
too.
all like, you would need the paper and the ink, and I'm all like, well, they know all about it.
And
But
I assumed they didn't want anyone summoning.
right
So
on. Then just burn it. Just burn it.
if
I
it's
Okay.
don't think
from the
you can't
devil, I
burn the
don't think
book.
you can.
But the
Yeah.
one guy, the Spaniard, his book got
No,
burnt.
because Johnny Depp pulls it out, and even though it looks
Oh,
burned,
the
the
pages are
pages are
missing. Okay.
fine.
That's a good point too. I don't know if the pages could be burnt, but I would try to hide that motherfucker. Just be like, you will never find it. It's at the bottom of the ocean and
Yeah,
everything. But
but I just don't think those two guys, I think they're very, very old and they are not, they weren't real. I think he
that's a
went there
Maybe they're
because,
like angels or
yeah,
something
that's
sort
a
of
good point
deal.
too. Like they're just talking to some. That's a good question. Ooh, this is good. I like this. I like this.
I bought the book that this movie is based off of like a couple
Oh,
months ago. I've been
that is
waiting.
so funny. I just marked it on my Kindle as a
There
when
you
I'm
go.
done with the book I'm reading to
that's
get.
so crazy. I'm not gonna
Right.
read this book.
I really want like I've been meaning to read this book since high school and I find like Amazon wasn't really a thing when I was in high
Yeah.
Right.
school. So and I could never find it at bookstores, so I just forgot about it. And then I rewatched this back in October because my husband had never seen it. So I showed it to him. I was like, "Oh, wait a second, Amazon will probably have this book now." So I bought a copy. I'm planning to read it in the new year, but I'm sure like things like the twins are going to
Yeah.
be explained in there.
Well, if they do, I'm excited to find out. I hope they do
Is it
because
called the Ninth Gate?
no.
The Club Dumas.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Club Dumas. Okay.
Yeah, the
All
Club Dumbass is what I
right.
used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Like
That's
it's
good.
only a dumbass would
I
summon
love
the
it.
devil.
You're right. Okay. All right. So I wanted to ask one more thing. Okay, so when he's leaving the twins bookshop, right? That scaffolding that's in the, I was like, oh, the Spaniards, right? Their shit don't hold together. But it just topples down and I'm all like, now do you think that was like the devil's work or was that just because of bad,
Omens.
architecture?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
Omen.
like he walked underneath a ladder, I think, when he goes into that,
Yep.
and that's a sign of bad luck.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't remember that. He did walk
Hmm.
underneath a ladder.
Yep.
Hmm.
That little idiot. I don't believe in any of that
And
crap,
I
so.
also think that's a sign that those guys weren't real because they were already doing construction on the outside of their
That's a good
bookstore.
point. Yeah, we need another movie about this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For
Wait, if they weren't real though, how did the page end up on
Well, no,
top?
I don't think they were real as in they were like
when
people
Johnny
now.
Depp
I
went.
think that, yeah, I think they were
Gotcha.
real at some point in history. That's how they know so much. I just think now they were like, some kind of other being that appeared. Because again, I go with how did the bookstore get emptied out so fucking fast? And they were doing construction outside and tearing
That's
shit apart.
that's really good. I feel like I would be a good ghost if I believed in that shit. But anyways, okay. All right. So then, okay, so he hops over to the Spaniard guy, the Fargus guy or whatnot. And I just want to say right now, loved the house. I was
Oh,
all in
gorgeous.
love with it and everything. As soon as he walked in the yard, I was like, ooh. So, but of course, it was in, shatters and everything because that's not the right word. But because he had no money.
Mhm.
Um,
Shambles.
yeah, shambles. Thank you. Listen, I've
You're
been drinking.
welcome.
I don't need you to correct me. Anyways,
I don't know
so
the word. Oh, here's the word. Fuck
yeah,
you, Vetta.
yeah,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Oh, and if I would have said it wrong, he had to turn me into a short and posted it on YouTube.
I pronounced the word correctly. Fuckface. Okay. I did write down that his doorbell sucked. It was just a little pulley with some some cans with some nails in it. I was like, you need a better doorbell. This doorbell sucks.
To be fair,
Um,
his doorbell might have broken and he can't afford to.
that's yeah,
Yeah,
he
he
can't
did
afford.
say he was poor. He should sell
Yeah.
some of those old
That's
books.
what I wrote down. Why didn't you like I understand like that's the thing I don't understand. I understand that these people like I understand your collection. Like you have like I have a collection of Harry Potter shit you can see behind me. But at the same time, if I can't pay my bills, the Harry Potter shit's getting sold on Macari, like a toot sweet. So I don't understand why this guy didn't like say, I don't need a bunch of shit, but I do need to eat today. So I'm gonna sell this, 12th century book for, a couple, like 100,000. And I'm gonna get some dollar bill or a couple thousand.
He does say in the conversation that he sold off most of his collection and whatever was on
Did
the floor,
he?
yeah, that's all that was left of his collection.
Oh, I thought he didn't sell off his collection. He
And
was
I
just
No,
think
no,
when
no.
you get to that level of collecting stuff like that, that you're like hiring people to track it down, you're fanatic. So you're not
Mm.
getting rid of it. It's more important not to eat than it is to sell the book
not
because
to
Yeah.
me. Not to me. I'd be like,
Also, he still had there's like a loaf of bread or something he had. So dude was eating and he had some wine with him.
yeah.
He was all good.
And
I'm sure
he
there's
had his
tomatoes in that
music.
garden.
yeah, just
Yeah.
playing that violin, just on in
He
his
was fine.
on his one chair in his makeshift kitchen in the study. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't matter because he's dead now. He's dead.
In the fountain
I
of all places.
yeah,
Come on.
yeah. Oh, which by the way, I have a question for you guys. Do you think that the blonde was working for or slash with Dracula, or was she just like, out and about and she's just all like, do not kill Dracula. I want to show you with how not to do it
I
later
have
on.
a whole theory on this, but I don't know if you want me to give you the theory now or at the end.
Do it at the end. We'll do it at the end. I'll circle this so we circle back, okay? Okay. So he goes back to the hotel. They come back to the Spaniards because Dracula's all like, I want that fucking book. And he's all like, okay. So he goes back, and I love how Blondie, how she's just all like, he's not in there. Where is he? He's in the fountain, fucker. And he's like, how do you know that? And I love how he's got the bottle of brandy
It's
that he's
over
serving.
there.
Yeah, he's over
Mhm.
there in the fountain of youth. It's everything. And I did feel bad for him because I'm like, all this over a goddamn book. I'm like, oh, this is not worth it.
And he
Um,
wasn't even into the hocus pocus of it. He
yeah,
just liked the
exactly.
fucking book.
Yeah, exactly. He's just like, I like books and everything. And you're like, oh, poor dude, poor Fargus. Um, And to me, the whole mission I felt was just stupid because I was just like, you guys, can't you just call him up can't you just call Baroness What's Her Face on the phone and be like, hey, check page 42. Is it signed AP or LCF or whatever it was? And just tell me what's going on. Are there three keys in the hand or what? What's going on there, honey? Um, yeah, that's my whole thoughts on that. Oh, okay, you guys, when the henchman shows up, the rich lady's henchman, I immediately was like, "Is that Dennis Rodman?" And then I was
Oh
like,
my God. That
"What's going
probably
on here?"
inspired the look, to be
Yeah.
fair.
Well, because I was like, he totally looks like Wesley
Too
Snipes from
short.
Demolition Man. I was like, he is Wesley Snipes from Demolition Man. I was like, well, now I want to know a lot more about Dennis here. But we get very little of Dennis, which I was like, this is a bummer. Like Dennis is just, walking on the sidewalk, popping up out of cars and everything, and then just, like wearing black
And
robes.
And that scene just reaffirms what big of a pussy Johnny Depp's character was, because I understand the running and hiding behind the tree when the car's coming at you, but the guy gets out of the car and he's like, where do I go? What do I do? He's like quickly looking for a getaway. And I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. And he hangs out in that restaurant for like hours. And I'm all like, all right. I'm like, time's up. All right. You drank yourself to, death right now. Okay. I would like to hop over to the Baroness if you guys are cool with it. I just want to
Sure,
talk about
sure.
her because okay, first thing I wrote down is I am loving her lesbian secretary. I am loving her 100%. I would watch a whole movie with the Butch Dyke lesbian secretary. I watch a whole movie about her because I created this whole backstory about how she was in the war and she's got like the camouflage on with the machine
what?
gun. I made up a whole story for her. You have no idea. Like I am fascinated with
Short
this.
story to
Oh my
play
God.
after
She's
the
got
movie.
yeah, she's got the short hair and everything. She's peeling oranges and everything. I've got a whole thing about the oranges too. You have no idea. I have created a whole life for this woman. And I was fascinated with her. And I love how she gives him the look like, who the fuck are you? I have an appointment. Do you? Do you have an appointment and everything? So okay, so we'll just hop over to the Baroness, okay?
Hmm.
So when I love how I wrote down the French cripple. Anyways, so okay. So, I okay. When she starts talking about like how she's fascinated with the devil, I immediately went, and we've already talked about this, but I immediately went, why? The devil to me just seems like so fucking boring. Like he's just a child that had a temper tantrum, and dad's all like, "Get the fuck out of my house" and everything. And I'm all like, oh, and then he just goes around being a bad boy. I'm all like, oh, great, everybody
He's
loves the bad boy.
destroying everything Daddy
Yeah,
made,
yeah,
just
exactly.
like
So yeah. So I'm all like, so I'm me. I'm all like, okay, fine. And she's like, she's like, I've dedicated my life to it. Then I'm all like, your whole life? I'm like, okay, whatever. But when she starts talking about the
again,
serpents,
a baroness. She can do whatever she wants
that is
because she
Hmm.
true.
clearly
But
has money.
but she's a cripple, which I want to know how she got cripple. I'm just curious. Did the devil show up one day and he's like, I like hands for dinner and everything, and took her hand. Okay, so when she starts talking about how they were like doing orgies and stuff, I immediately like, ew, you're gross. I would not fuck you at all. I'd be like, gross. But good for you and everything, baguette and bonjour and all that shit. Okay, so the first thing he goes to their house because I want to talk about when he goes back. That's my main point of it. So when he goes to the French lady the first time, she finds out that Dracula has hired him, and
Hmm.
she
Hmm.
is super pissed. She's like, "Fuck that noise! I don't like Dracula. Get the fuck out!" and everything. So he's like, "Fine, I'm leaving." But
Hmm.
then he copies, but photocopies, which I'm all like, "You guys, why didn't we do this from the get go? We didn't need to bring the book. We could have photocopied the original. Fine, it's fine, whatever. We wouldn't have a movie if we did this." So he goes back and he's like, I have a little gift for you if you're willing to accept it. And of course, she falls for it. And he shows her, and then she's like, take all of the time you need and everything. But she's smart. She's like, I did not agree to you smoking around my book and everything. I was like, and everything.
Finally, some
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, good for you.
Somebody.
Good for you, Baroness. But then they do this point, which we've never seen this the whole movie. They do this point of view through Johnny Depp's eyes, where he's
Mhm.
reading the book, and then you hear a thump, and then he like closes his eyes and then gets knocked out. And I was like, that's an interesting choice. We haven't seen this entire movie, and we get it for this one little scene. What do you think that was all about?
Like her, sorry,
The
repeat.
the point the point of view through Johnny Depp getting knocked out. Like we hadn't seen that kind of like through the perspective, like through his eyes, like we were Johnny Depp in that scene. I'd love to be Johnny Depp. But we were well, not the Amber Heard years. But we were Johnny Depp at that point, and then all of a sudden he gets thumped in the head and gets knocked out, and he's all like, "Phew." And then when we come back, when he gets woken up, we're like through our perspective, we're watching Johnny Depp. What do you think that was all about? Why do you think they did that? That
I just thought that was a creative decision because we spend the movie in the shoes of Dean Corso, so why not look at things through the eyes of Dean Corso for once, right? I just thought it was an interesting stylistic decision. I wasn't a fan of the transition because, like, you could tell it's just a camera falling instead of a person
right,
knocking out, right? So
right.
it seemed like a little bit out of place, but when he started reading, I was totally on board with it.
Okay, okay. Also, I did okay. So he wakes up right, And I'm not gonna lie, when he turns the Baroness around and she's got her tongue just like sticking out and everything, I laugh so hard. And I love how she just had her wheelchair on go mode and she just plows through those doors and that shit is ablaze. Like it is on fire. And I'm like, oh, get the roof is on fire, fucker, get out and everything. Yeah, I laughed so hard at that, which is probably inappropriate, but at the same time, it was so
Super
funny.
inappropriate, but they did it because they did it for laughs because
Mm.
there's no way they did that being serious. There's no way.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
and my whole thing is, so Johnny Depp does all this legwork, right? And these two, the Spaniard and the French lady, they both get killed in the end. And my whole thing was, why didn't Dracula just go in and kill him in the first place? Just be all like, we're gonna go kill
'Cause
French
he didn't
lady.
kill them.
Who killed him?
Rich lady. That he has her book, her
You
little
think it was the rich
henchman.
lady? Oh, I thought it was.
thought it was-
I totally thought it was Dracula because Dracula was all on the phone with him and he's all like, he doesn't want to sell it, and he's like, no, and then he click, and then and then the next day he's dead. He's like, yeah, and
No,
then, like,
even when they encounter Mrs. Telfer like at the orgy or whatever,
mhm.
like she even basically admits in part of the dialogue that she killed the other guy
Does
to get
she?
his copy. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she's after the same thing Boris is after. She wants to summon the devil, but they're just doing it in two different ways.
See, I thought she just wanted the book so she could do her little
Yeah, so
fake
Boris is
orgy.
convinced his is the true thing and is completely authentic. He really wants to disprove the other ones. She just wants them all.
Oh, okay. I see. Man, see, okay. All right, all right, all right, all right. I'll call, as Vex would say, I'll call. I don't do it as good, though. I don't do it as good. Okay. So let's move on to the orgy and everything. And we could talk about how like he knocks out Wesley Snipes from Demolition Man and they get into this orgy. Now, I just want to say right now, I love how Dracula just shows up and he's all like, your old withering flesh, you give into the pleasures of your old withering flesh. And I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of old dudes in here, and nobody wants saggy balls on them. Like there was like and I love how he's all like, I'm the only one that deserves this. I was like, wow, way to be an asshole, okay, and everything. And I also loved how he kills this rich lady in front of all these motherfuckers, and none of them do anything. They're just all like, oh my God, what's going on? Bitch, she's dying. That's what's going on. And I love how Johnny Depp is the only one that'll help out, but then Blondie, floats from her balcony and just like stops. She's like, Corso, don't. And I'm like, why? Why don't you want him to stop him and everything? Yeah, what did you guys think about? And I also loved how after he kills Rich Lady, like all the people are like, he's just like, boo, and then they all run away. Like I'm all like, that's what got you guys. And I love how the one blonde who's got a rockin' body just pulls off her robe and just starts running. I'm like, what? Why are you getting naked, honey? What's going on here?
She wasn't paying attention. She thought it was orgy time.
Yeah. So, what did you guys think about this whole orgy scene?
I was totally fine with this as well. Like it was one of those things where it's like, so all of these people were committed to like summoning the devil and they were super into occultism, but it's one of those things where it's like, I really like the idea of this, but doing it, like killing and sacrificing someone is a totally different story, and that's why they got spooked. So I think all of these people had just been fucking, basically. They'd just been having orgies, but they had never actually killed or sacrificed anyone, and that was kind of crossing a line. It just kind of showed that these people were not in it for the same reasons that like Boris and Telfer were in. That's
Yeah.
how I interpreted it.
Yeah,
Right
they
on.
definitely were not at the same level. I'm on the same page as Vex. And can I just say in this room, for them talking about how it always ends up in a giant orgy, there's only one bed. And if you look around the room, there are no other surfaces. So is everyone else just watching the people in the bed, or are they just stacked in the bed? Like, how is this working? It's just one bed. And there was at least 30 people in that room.
Yeah, and smashing on a hard floor is not fun. Your knees start to hurt. You need at least a pillow or two,
Yeah, and there's
That's a great
no
point.
soft things.
Maybe it just took place in the whole like
The whole
house, maybe
house.
the whole chateau and everything.
Oh,
Um,
maybe that's just where she does it on display for everyone, so
right,
you can sit
yes.
and watch her. Yeah.
Yes. So
Well,
I
she is the
love
leader. That would make sense.
she is the leader. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I love how okay, so I love how he follows Dracula and totally gets like stuck in like a little creek or whatever. And I'm like, hey asshole, I could have told you couldn't drive your Pinto through a creek, you fucking dickhead. But I was like, it's fine. He thought it was like a fucking Jeep Wrangler and shit. He's all, going through the European Alps and
Hmm.
all that stuff. But okay, so I love so he finally finds his little castle. Now I have to ask you a question because I was not paying attention at all besides the picture, and I did realize that it was on like the second time watching this, I did realize it was on the painting in Dracula's like little office,
Yep.
if that's what it
Hmm.
was. But was this in like the book or was this mentioned at all besides
It's
that picture?
the
Because
castle on the page where they're like,
is it though? It doesn't look like the castle in my opinion. I thought the
well,
castle looked way different.
it's not an actively being used castle. It's more
Well,
like the
what
ruin of
what
the
active
castle.
castle do we have these days? Come on.
Just saying, this is like the ruins of it.
I understand. I'm not retarded. I understand that. I
No,
just
you're
was
acting like it.
I'm about to act like an abusive brother in a minute. Anyways, but no, they don't I don't remember them mentioning this castle, and I'm all like, all of a sudden it just appears in a picture, and I'm all like, okay. I was like, great, this picture of this castle. Like, what do I do with this? But
It's a
apparently,
postcard, not a picture.
oh my God, I swear to Christ. Okay, so Dracula gets these 9 pages, right? And I love how he's just like he's in this castle and he set up his little makeshift, ritual table or whatnot. Which by the way, I love how he had what was in that coffee like container. I was like, is it coffee? Because it's a good choice. Coffee's always good. But I love how he's Johnny Depp shows up and he's like, get out of here, you're not worthy of this and everything. And I'm all like, well, how do you know, fucker? I'm all like, just let him watch your little ritual without getting stuck into the floor. But I also really loved how after he does the little ritual, he's all like, I can put my hands in the fire. Look, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt. And I'm all like, okay. And then I love how he douses himself with petrol or gasoline or
Hmm.
whatnot. And he steps into the fire. Now listen, I believe in faith and everything, but I am not covering myself in gasoline and stepping into fire. I don't care how much faith I have. I'm gonna be like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Fire looks like it hurts a
Yeah.
lot.
Jesus didn't
And
even die that way. So
yeah,
even when they crucified him, they didn't say, "Oh, let's burn him alive."
Hmm.
They kind of went, "No, that's too harsh. Let's just crucify him."
yeah,
Hmm.
because
Hmm.
and then a small piece of me was like, can't you just like stand without covering yourself with all this liquid? Can't you just stand in the fire so there's a possibility of you, like surviving, just a little bit? But
I
no, he
mean,
goes,
you kind of see. Sorry to
no,
interrupt
no, you're
you.
good, you're
I
good.
just you kind of
I do
see.
it all the time. It's fine.
Oh, okay, okay, awesome. You do see Boris just kind of lose the plot completely as the film progresses, and like the phone calls he has with Dean Corso, like as you listen to him, you can hear that he's becoming more and more detached almost from reality. So
That's a
I
good
feel,
point.
yeah, so like my interpretation is him dousing himself as fire is him just getting completely lost in the sauce now. Any semblance of rationality has gone out the window because he wants this that
That's a
badly.
that's a very good point. Like
Well,
he's a
I take it as he's trying to prove to Johnny Depp that he has been granted
That
immortality
too. Yeah. He's the
by
chosen
the
one.
devil. Yeah, that he's the chosen one.
Yeah, like he's so close to blowing his load. He's like, I'm not gonna stop now. I
Yeah.
just need to do it and everything.
Yeah,
You're just
like
you're
he's
like,
just like, oh, you don't
he said
believe it?
she
Look
had
at
what? Oh, it doesn't matter. I'm so close. I'm so close. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna blow it and screw the consequences. It just
Hmm.
happens to be
that's
that I
exactly. And I
burst into
think when he
flames.
starts feeling the flames, he's like, oh shit, I'm not the chosen one.
Oh
Fuck.
yeah, yeah. I love at one point he knocks his glasses off and he like kind of like wipes at his eyes. Like I'm like, fuck your eyes. Try to get out of the fire. You are on fire, fucker.
Stop, drop, and roll,
Yeah,
bitch.
exactly. I did love how Johnny Depp like fell through the floor and there was just like an automatic like stairway to freedom. And I was like, look at
Yep.
you, Johnny Depp.
Nice
Yeah,
coincidence.
and
There
it
we go.
leads up to the little table, and I liked how he just grabs all the pages. I was like, look at you, Johnny Depp. I was like, you're doing good for yourself. And then we get to the famous the fucking, which
The
I was
scene that Matt loved to jerk
when
off
I
to
was
as a
young,
young
yeah,
child.
yeah,
Yeah.
when I was young. Well, listen, back then we
All
didn't
right,
have
so if you
Pornhub.
catch your teenage son watching this movie, it
You
is
don't even
not for the
not.
content.
It is not this movie that they they have Pornhub. There's
No,
plenty of
now
things.
they have real
Yeah,
porn, but
they have good stuff. You know what I'm saying?
or I
It's not.
should say, any mothers that caught their sons or found their sons
Yeah.
watching this movie
Now
back
you
in the
know.
90s. Now you know.
Yeah, now you know. You know when you know. So Johnny Depp, he is looking at the pages and he realized one's fake.
Hmm.
And he goes back and we already talked about the twins shop and everything. Which I did like their little cabinet and everything that he ended up finding the page on. And now that you say like were those fuckers real? I seriously wonder if they're real or whatnot. Um, but then he goes back to the castle, but we don't see him doing the ritual and everything. But like my whole thing now is now that he's got the pages and he goes into the castle and you see the bright light and everything and everything. What happens now? Like the devil just shows up and he's like, "Hey, dude, good job." Like what happens now? I don't get it. I'm like so lost.
So doesn't like the whore of Babylon like doesn't she like slay? Because okay, so in the picture that the proper page, right? It's the whore of Babylon, and she's sitting on top of a slain beast sort of deal, right? So is it kind of more of a metaphor that Johnny Depp was the beast that she had slain, and now he was the key to opening, like that was the final step to opening the
Mm,
door to
the
hell,
key is
to
the
summoning the
key.
devil.
So I'm kind of on that same page. So this is my whole theory is that the whole reason the Whore of Babylon was helping Johnny Depp the whole time is because he's the chosen one, because he was a non-believer. The other two were
He's
crazy
he's the
fanatics.
Neo of this world.
Hmm.
They were both fanatic believers. So the devil didn't need them. He's already got
Yes.
their soul. He
Oh, he got.
doesn't need them.
Oh, they let the
But
devil get a
he
foothold.
Right. So Johnny Depp's character doesn't believe. So by having her help him, they're slowly getting him to believe. And then when she slays him slash fucks him, that's him opening the gate. And so now he is the chosen one because now he's a true believer.
I can actually run with that quite a because that also explains why the film spends so much time building up and showcasing his very obvious skepticism
Yeah.
at everything,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, no, okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I
You're
like
so
that.
good.
I'm gonna run with that as well because like yeah,
Yeah.
now he is the ideal servant, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't like the thought of being a servant. It doesn't sound like fun.
Well,
Okay.
you got to remember too, this whole thing is kind of religious based. And what are God and the devil fighting for? They're fighting for people's souls.
Hmm.
Gotcha.
So why does the devil need to fight for two crazy rich people who already believe in him? He's already got their soul. He wants the non-believer,
And it's not like Dean Corso is going to heaven. He spent his entire life scamming
right?
people.
Right
Exactly.
on. Right on. Okay. 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 I get you. I get you. I am done through it with all my notes. I have nothing else that and everything. But did you guys want to say anything before we wrap about this movie before we wrap it up?
For the longest time, I thought those books were real until I was like in high school, and then I was like, oh,
Were you
there
like,
are
what
no books.
museum do I got to go to see these books?
Right. I'm like, is there really like some secret demon summoning books like out there that collectors have? So like every time I go into used bookshops, I'd be like, oh, sir, maybe like a demon book. And then by the time I got to university, I was like, oh, these aren't real. They were just
That's
drawn for the
good.
Before
movie.
that, Vex was like, whose dick do I gotta suck to get go look at
Right.
these books?
What demon do I gotta let ride me to find these books kind of deal, right?
Right
So,
on.
I'm not
That's
gonna
good.
summon anyone. I just want to see that it could happen.
right, I just want to
Right.
know it's real. That's it. But yeah, that's like that's my 2 cents on. I love this movie though. This movie
I
is
It is good. It's good.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I watched it twice this week. I watched it like on Tuesday and then I watched it again today. And I was like, man, my whole thing of like the wheels were a turning every time.
Hmm.
And I don't remember it being that engrossing the
Yeah.
first time. I just
Right on.
remember it being, ooh,
So
Johnny
would you
Depp
guys
looks good
recommend this movie?
for sure.
Yeah,
Yes, I definitely would. I feel bad liking it though for the one re it's a Roman Polanski movie.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
But so is
I didn't know that.
Rosemary's Baby, and I love that one
I
too.
Yeah.
And
I
I
didn't know
don't
that.
like that man at all. He's a horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a douche. Yeah, fuck you, Roman. I hope you
Yeah.
die.
But it's still one of my like top 20 favorite movies.
Yeah, no, it's a good movie. It's a good movie for sure. I mean,
Isn't that
separate
the
the
way
art
it
from the
goes,
art.
though? Super douchey people that are just horrible human beings create great works.
That is true.
That's just that's just how it goes. How the cookie crumbles,
Yeah, the
unfortunately.
devil is in the details. Okay.
Oh.
Ooh.
I've been trying to say all these little things throughout this entire podcast. Okay. Well, if you guys don't have anything else to say about this movie, I'm going to wrap it up and everything. But before we do, Vex, where can we find you at?
My username on virtually everything is Vex Electronica. So that's YouTube, Twitter. You can find me on Letterboxd and Criticlist. Those are both review apps, same username. But thank you for having me back. I always have a good time with you guys.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, we always have a good
Love
time with
having
you.
you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for listening and everything. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at BSDrunkPod to stay updated and everything. If you listen to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify, please leave us a 5-star review, you guys. We would really appreciate it, and it does help us out. We'll also be posting the video version of this, like I said before, to our YouTube channel. So be sure to subscribe to us on there, and that is on YouTube at BS Drunk Movie Reviews. Also, we do have a Patreon, you guys, with plenty of different levels to suit any of your interests and everything. And the link for that will be in the description down below, along with all of Vex's information to find her and everything. And you guys, most importantly, please don't forget to drink, recap, review, and repeat. Bye, you guys.
Bye.